tonight's show, let's observe the scenario because this is similar to the one that we experienced with one of the fans last week. If you've met a person and then the one that you want to build your life with, when you look at that person, you might see the future. And like one of the fans, we've come to find out the only problem is the people who raised you, the people you've loved your whole life, just don't see it. You know, whenever you bring your partner up or the moment that they walk into the room, you feel the temperature just drop. You get the hint with dismissive comments, loaded questions, or a heavy silence that says everything. Sometimes it's even a direct list of all the reasons why they are fundamentally wrong for you. This isn't just a small disagreement, it's a constant grinding stress sitting right in the middle of your life. Oh, you might see her mother in your eyes. I'm going to be real with you. We talked about this last week specifically that you will find a partner, a romantic partner that resembles your parents, the people that you claim to despise the most, the ones that you um didn't want to listen to, you didn't want to follow the instructions of the you see that legacy in somebody else, and that is the familiarity that you are attracted to, and that attraction leads you to dating a person that is exactly like your parents. So guys who grew up being mama's boys are going to end up marrying a woman that's exactly like his mother, and that's the reason why the women don't get along, because opposites attract, not exact similarities. Then there's a power struggle. Likewise, daddy's little girl is always going to end up with a guy that, when she's not rebelling against the cause and just getting the wrong person because she knows it's the wrong person and it'll piss her family off, that's when she's deliberately making a bad decision. But when she's making a good decision and she's selecting the right person for her objectives, she ends up selecting somebody that is almost exactly like her dad. And it's gonna piss her off. But it is what it is. The men are gonna frown at one another, but once the similarities start to show, that's when the guys are going to start bonding, and you're going to be wondering why the relationship with the guys are better than the relationship with the girls, because we don't have a reason to war. If logic is logic, and if shit makes sense, then I can co-sign on it. And that also means that since I'm able to co-sign on it, then that means that I can expect this individual to make the kind of decisions that I would make. And if that is the case, as a father, I can retire out of being responsible for the child to the magnitude that, unless he needs my backup, I should be able to, not have to step in on that. And so, yeah, you will see the mother in the eyes of the daughter. You will see the father in the eyes of the son. You will see, the inverse of the two, because a lot of times behavior is genetically inherited. Decision making processes can be in some magnitude outside of environmental. It can also be instinctive, and instinctive is hereditary traits that are inherited from the parents. So if you got one parent that makes a bunch of bad decisions and another parent that makes all of the most logical and rational decisions, doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, it just made sense when that decision was being made, then ultimately you'll have the kind of child that's reckless, making logical decisions limited to the knowledge that they have. It is what it is. Now, it turns holidays that should be celebratory into tense negotiations. It makes every phone call feel like you're walking through a minefield, and you're left feeling guilty, misunderstood, and stretched to your breaking point. It's weird that we find ourselves in a situation where we just don't know what else to do. And the joy of what should be one of the best times of your life is being completely overshadowed by somebody else's disapproval. Now, I'm going to tell you, if there is a way out of that. And that's one of the reasons why I thought, man, we should probably cover this. Uh, this situation is more than just emotionally exhausting. You'll find research shows that it can be genuinely harmful to your relationship. So, sociological studies consistently find that support from family and friends helps relationships last, while consistent disapproval significantly raises the risks of distress and even breakups. One 16-year study found that when a husband didn't like his wife's friends, similarly, dynamic of social pressure, a chance of divorce skyrocketed. The pressure is real and the stakes are incredibly high. If you are tired of being caught in the crossfire between the person you love and the family that you love, you need a real strategy. So, if you want to protect your bond and manage this conflict without burning every bridge, this is the information for you. We're not going to talk about quick fixes. We're not going to break down 5 proven strategies to navigate this process, reclaim your peace, and build strong foundations for the future. We're going to be giving you the extreme method of getting through the chaos. And it's a well-known method that, I mean, not too many people are familiar with because I come from the most unorthodox. So before you have a single conversation with your parents or plan the next family dinner, the very first step has to happen in the quiet space of your own relationship. You and your partner need to go from being two people in love to being one unbreakable team. Now, this isn't just romantic fluff, it's your absolute lifeline. Now, without it, any outside pressure will find the cracks and drive a wedge between you two. This way, um, you will be able to be more successful. And that's one of the reasons why this is the most critical part of it. So, because families who are applying pressure are experts at finding leverage, you know that no matter how good we are in our lives, there is somebody else that's better than us at guilt trips, manipulation, and other narcissistic tactics. We're never the best in our lives at getting over on other people, especially because we try to strive ourselves on the nobility of the honor and trust and integrity that comes with people just doing what we ask because we asked it, not us having to convince them or trick them or leverage their fears and their anxieties in order to force them to do stuff that we want them to do. Typically, that comes from parenting. Parents make children do what they want by leveraging the child's fears and desires. Government, anybody who works in the government, learns that psychological manipulation is easier than physical force. So they learn how to manipulate the situation. The rest of us, we don't really know about that stuff. But if they even sense a little bit of daylight between you and your partner, if they can tell one of you is more sympathetic to their side or their position, or that you disagree on how to handle it, they will exploit that gap. It's called playing two against the middle. And that's one of the things that we've noticed that we as children have done this when mom and dad didn't agree with one another and one was more on our side than the other. When we wanted something, we would go to that parent, the one that will agree with us. And then that parent will argue with the other parent to get us what we want. It's going to be the same thing. Just like we say that we don't have favorites, that's not true. We have favorites. If we have more than one kid, we like one kid more than the other kid, whether it's because it's the first one, the first of one gender or another, because you see it. You see the firstborn might get all the love, then the first boy, the first girl, you'll see the last child might end up being the favorite because it was a miracle that that child happened. It overcame all of the odds and stuff to that effect. Even though they have a firstborn, a first boy, and a first girl, the fourth child might get all of the hope. Michael says, "Turn the page." Um, so a comment like, "Well, I know you get where we're coming from," is said to you when your partner isn't there. And this is a classic divide and conquer tactic. You guys just know this. Being united shuts that down. It shows them that you are a single entity. Whatever you and your partner agreed on in the privacy of your own home or in your own individual conversation, once y'all get into the crowd, the family, the group, the friend network, or whatever, y'all agreed we're not flexing on this. And you don't flex on that. Now, that's going to take a lot of loyalty and dedication, which will test the bonds of your relationship. But that's what we're talking about right now is people who are trying to test the bonds of the relationship. A problem with one of you is a problem with both of you. Micah says, I had 8 brothers and sisters, and I know I am not the favorite. Which one were you? The one in the beginning, the middle, or at the end? More girls than boys? How did that measure up? Because if you're one of the middle children, you're lucky to be remembered, especially if you were a helpful middle child. They were proud of you, but they didn't have to get involved with all of the things that you were doing in life because you weren't messing things up. Oh man, he was the oldest guy. So he was getting all the love as the first boy. And then when the second boy and the third one, it was like he's just another kid. I gotta tell you, that's tough. But you get a lot of um delegating skills out of being older than some of the rest of them because while you have to follow orders from the oldest, when the ones that are older than you move off and go to college, you're the oldest, and now everybody's got to listen to you. So that chain of command does kind of trickle down somewhat. So it's a very interesting dynamic as children to come to understand. And he says, "No, you're right. Split the family." So I would be the fourth. uh, so okay, so he's the fourth one right there in the middle. Yeah, yeah. That's I understand that because I've got a lot of siblings as well. And it is a dynamic that you come to learn. Like, damn, it does go down that way. Now, how do you actually build a united front with your partner? That's one of the things that we need to kind of start with. And this is going to start with a series of honest and sometimes tough conversations. And you guys got to get through this before you have the official first meet with mom and dad. The first, and this is going to be the first planned meeting. And the reason why I'm going to call it the first planned meeting is because if you've got a good family bond and you guys are close to one another, then you're likely to see family members pop up, and some pop up to be nosy. You have some that come with advance notice and they pop up to pay you a visit and make sure that everything's okay. And then you have this habit where when you're single, you're more findable than what you are when you're not single, because when you're not single, you're more involved in your relationship. So typically, if they haven't heard from you for a while, or not as often as they used to hear from you, they'll probably put more effort into coming to see what you're up to because you've got to be in a relationship. Because last time you went dark, you were in a relationship. Michael says, catch in between family, the forgotten one. Here's $1, go play. And now in my generation, it's here's $100, go play, go bowling. Bowling is like $87 a night now. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. You might be able to save some money if you bring your own bowling shoes. But bowling shoes are going to be like $50, $60 for a pair of bowling shoes. So it's not cheap. But get your family a whole bowling outfit and then write it off on your LLC's uniform expectation. Write off the bowling ball as work equipment. Get everybody their own ball. You got the small balls for the kids and the medium balls for the teenagers and the large balls for the strong muscular ones. And then whatever one y'all can deal with, y'all can deal. You can find that the older that you get, the quicker you're going to go with the kids' ball because it's lighter, not trying to throw your shoulder out again. But yeah, it's a strange thing. But you got to remember, this isn't a one and done kind of chat. It's an ongoing commitment. These hard, tough conversations because you really have to know each other, and you have to not really quiz each other on it, but you have to have that understanding that you know that I will not take a negative stance against you if I'm talking to my family. That means that if my family tells you that I've taken a negative stance against my partner knows that that family member is the enemy of our united front because that person is literally lying to the face of the partner. So you have to have this understanding. Now, that does not mean that you're going to know the history of each other before the first meet. You guys might be together for a few weeks to a few years before the first family member comes and starts sticking their nose into your relationship. But when you start talking about family reunions, when you start talking about family gatherings, when you start talking about family coming over for the holidays or family emergencies that requires a family member to unexpectedly start spending more time in your life, in your house, whatever the case, that's when your romantic relationship starts being put into the test. So you have to be able to have these conversations, hopefully before that plays out, because if not, the level of uncertainty that you have in your relationship could cause you to break before your partner. And as soon as you feel comfortable enough to say anything negative about your relationship or your partner, that person will regurgitate word for word exactly what you said. And typically, it will be taken out of context, which puts you in a bad scenario because you can't say you didn't say that. And your partner hearing this will feel betrayed. And that is when your partner will spill all of the things that was supposed to be held back. And once one person starts unloading all of the secrets of the relationship, the other person starts unloading all of the secrets of the relationship. And that starts becoming a tit for tat that just never survives. So the first thing you have to do is you have to validate each other's pain. This pressure affects you both, but probably in different ways. For you, it might be guilt and feeling torn between your past and your future. For your partner, it might be the pain of rejection and feeling like they're constantly being judged and failing the test. This is something that you guys got to go through, and it will end up, and you have to keep going through it throughout engagements with family, reassuring each other. You have to sit down and truly hear each other out. Ask things like, tell me what it feels like for you when my mom says that, or what's the hardest part of all of this for you? Don't defend your family, just listen, right? Michael says, she started it. Well, not gonna lie, we learn how to cover for one another in our friend groups, fraternities. They say bros before hoes, chicks before dicks. All of these phrases and metaphors and concepts that basically leads to I'll lie for you if you lie for me. I'll cover for you if you'll cover for me. I'll help you hide the body in your situation if you help me hide the body in mine. This is the concepts that we instill in our social groups. You're basically going to have to hold that same concept in your family, in your relationship. The us against the world situation, the Bonnie and Clyde metaphor, where they were a couple that uh, committed crimes together, hunted by the police, and protected each other from being apprehended until the bitter end. They stayed united no matter what. That's where these metaphors come from. We don't see that very much because in Western culture, loyalty is fickle, especially when money is in play. Uh, Yet, we still have to recognize it is still doable. It is still a very, very high observation. Michael says, you know, one thing, it doesn't matter who started. That's just like that's what happens right before a whooping. Is that everyone steps on their dinglings at 70. Well, I mean, you do make a point. At 70 years old, everything's sagging further than it's supposed to sag, and everybody's stepping on everything that was once perky and standing tall. It's now dragging across the floor, getting brush burned. He does make a good point. Now, when you're listening to your partner explain to you what's going on, you want to be able to tell them things like that sounds incredibly painful, and I'm so sorry that you're going through that. You know, you can say I understand, but that doesn't you don't understand unless you're both going through it at the same time when you're experiencing it from their family and they're experiencing it from your family. If it's just my family this year and we're not doing anything with your family, I can't say, well, I understand how that feels. You know, it is more to the magnitude of being sincere about the observation that I recognize your pain, not that I understand your pain, because you don't. You don't. Your partner's family might love you, and your family might hate the other person, and vice versa. Your family might love the other person, might just accept them with open arms, and their family might reject you from the first step into the house. So you can't say that I truly understand what you're going through, but I recognize that you're going through it. Now, this validation is the glue that holds you guys together. Remember when I told you guys that a rock solid relationship is going to need one specific pillar of foundation amongst many? And one of the most significant pillars in the relationship is going to be in the area of transparency because it must be non judgmental, non resentment, non retaliatory, safe space. Okay, this is the moment where your partner can complain about anything that concerns them, and you will listen, not judge, not try to fix it, not resent them for what they say, not retaliate on what they say. And then when they are ready, y'all can work together on how to navigate a way to reduce that stress and discomfort or eliminate it altogether if that's possible. Like I said, is that her underwear or mine? Well, I'm not gonna. That's a good question. It's but funny. The older that we get, the more we come to find that men, some men, not all men, but men seem to enjoy the comfortable feel of women's underwear because women's underwear is made with silk and satin. And it feels good no matter what man or woman is wearing the satin. It's just the design flaw because you can't wear lacy female underwear, but you could potentially find you some silk and satin boxers. Now, also, the irony is that women like there goes a kickoff. I just noticed this. So we're seeing one that's, and it's like 5 minutes. Exactly at the 21 mark, man. Exactly at the 21 mark. Can you believe that? Hold on now. Let's get, because we're supposed to be, wait, I can't see myself. Can y'all see me? Oh, that's right. That's because we're not using the, there it is. Now we're back in there. I don't understand what that's about. Because I just did the browser check earlier today, and then we had wiped whatever was supposed to be flickering all of this off. But I think that it might have something to do with the no, because even the VPN is turned off. So I don't know, but we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. I did say that we're going to lead ourselves into me potentially upgrading and getting another computer, and then we won't have any of these issues that we're having with this computer because we'll have a different computer. It depends on how much capital I have, which will determine exactly what price computer I will be able to afford. But as it stands, it looks like in order for me to do something with this computer, I'm going to end up having to get another one. But where was I? I lost everything, comment section and everything. Um, so the underwear thing we were talking about, that's what we were talking about. So we come to find that the women like the support and the snugness of men's underpants. So, you'll see women wearing men's boxers and you'll see men wearing women's boxers. So I thought that that was a very interesting chime in when you asked, where is the underwear? Which underwear is it, yours or mine? But if you know that they have those his and hers boxers that are out there, the his and hers boxers, his and hers pajamas and stuff to that effect, it allows you guys to be able to it allows you guys to be able to have that comfortable feel and in your size and not have to deal with the stressors of cross gender complications. Now I'm gonna do this for you guys. I'm gonna throw that back in there, that link to the show, just in case. Want to make sure that we're back on track uh, with everything that we're gonna be doing today. Now, moving along, I might I might have to shrub that out. We'll figure it out. Now, the second thing that we're going to be talking about here, as I said before, you want to agree on your shared philosophies. These are going to be the philosophies and trains of thought and processes of approach to situations where you guys are not going to have a difference of concern because the philosophy is going to be a compromise of the two. Now, this is your couple's constitution. It answers the big question, who comes first? Just like when you're working on a project or a book report or something like that, which person's name is going to be the first author and which person's going to be the second author? You have to understand that it does make a difference. For a long term partnership to work, the answer has to be the two of you together, both of you, not he comes first or she comes first. You know, if he puts her before him and she puts him before her, then it's going to be a mutual thing. But if he puts her first and she prioritizes herself, he's going to end up being the one that's being neglected. He's going to eventually start feeling emotions related to abandonment, and there will be resentment building up, and there will be a lack of partnership, which will lead to arguments and fights. Michael says she comes first, and from her view, he comes first. Exactly. Exactly. So from a man's point of view, your woman comes before yourself because that's a self-sacrificing position. And from the woman's point of view, her man comes before herself, so she sacrifices herself for his position. I perfectly agree with that. But that's the neutrality of things, uniformity. Now your relationship is now your primary family. That's your true inner circle. And the first ring outside of your inner circle might be your family and your partner's family, which would be considered the in-laws if you guys led to the marriage, which is the considered extended family, which is the family outside of the core family. And your friends are outside of that, which is the second ring outside of the family. Notice where the inner circle comes from, right? Now your family of origin becomes the extended family. You got to remember that. And this can feel like a betrayal, but it's a natural and vital part of starting a new family. You both need to say it out loud. Our partnership is our number one priority, and we make decisions based on what's best for us. The third strategy is together. You want to strategize together. Never ever decide how to handle your family on your own. And when you're talking to their family, especially, there's no compromise. It is mutual. When you're talking to their family, especially, you do not even want to think like you're the boss or you're in charge or you're going to do X, Y, and Z a certain kind of way when you know that that's not how this relationship is going to function. You want to make sure that the position that you agree on with your partner is the position that you're going to have when you're with their family because you do not want the false perception trying to fit in to end up being the um, Achilles heel of the unity. For example, uh, if you guys are supposed to be on a mutual basis and one partner makes comments like he or she calls all the shots and the other person better get in line kind of behavior, that's not going to work in conversation. And then when the family comes back together, that same person you told that to is going to imply that you clearly believe that you're the one that calls all the shots and the other person has to cater to your expectations. So it builds a different dynamic. And that dynamic is not always going to be covered unless you know when you're the one hearing this that this person that's making this comment is trying to drive a wedge between you and your partner. If you weren't ready for that, that would trigger you to start an argument with your spouse with your family. And you already know that your spouse is outnumbered because it's your entire family versus your spouse. It's not going to end well. So you have to make sure that you understand this. Never decide how to handle your family on your own. You have to decide together how to respond to this criticism. This isn't a situation where you are going to dictate how your partner is going to engage your family. You and your partner is going to agree on how your partner is going to engage your family, which also means that when your partner behaves in a way that your family disapproves of, you condone that in the first place. So you're not going to be the one chastising your partner in front of your family, which then shows who has the most authority in this relationship. And likewise, your partner is not going to force you into a submissive position in front of your family, which also shows the other half of who's really in charge in this relationship because they'll try to test that dynamic. When you compromise, you set yourself up for failure. But you have to understand when you're compromising because you're supposed to compromise with your partner about your relationship. You're not supposed to compromise with your family about your relationship. Because if you compromise with your family about your relationship, you end up failing your relationship because you would then be sacrificing your relationship without your partner's input for the sake of family. If you can't put your relationship before your family, you're not ready to be in a legitimate relationship. When you decide that you are the core of your life and your family is a participant instead of you being a participant in their life, when you do that, that's when they become the extended family. That's when they start adding to your network. But until that happens, you are enjoying their show. If your relationship is strong, your family doesn't matter. Now, that's hard to say for cultures that are family oriented. However, even in a family oriented culture, you still have the dynamic that if you yourself walk into that family with the respect of the family in mind, and then you do the best that you can to maintain your respect towards them, even if they do not respect you. And then you negotiate with your partner on how y'all will handle the disrespect. And he says, did you marry the family or him or her? And that's the point. Depending on certain cultures, you married the whole family. In Western culture, you just married the one person. But in Eastern culture, you married the person and the family. In certain Eastern cultures that we've covered on certain Wednesdays out of the year, you actually end up living with your partner's family. In matriarchal societies in the East, they live with the wife's family, and in patriarchal families in the East, they move into the husband's family. So, depending on which culture that you're in, because here in Western culture, it's every person for themselves. So the two of you can get married, and if your family don't like it, they can kick rocks. But in like Asia or Russia or something like that, you might have India, Bangladesh, special shout out to Bangladesh, some other countries that might not fly the same way. You might need to earn a little bit of their respect, but demand to the a minimalistic magnitudes mutual respect. You know, respect me as a person until you can respect me as the partner in your child's life. He said, Mom and Dad moved in next week. Yeah, because you're talking about like newlyweds, and either you moved into the parents' place or the parents moved into your place. So now it's you, your partner, and their family, or your partner, you, and your family. And if you have one of those families where your house is big enough, it might be you, your partner, your partner's family, and your family all in the same place. So you got mom and dad from her side and mom and dad on his side in the same house with you and your partner and the kids, which is like three generations living in the same house if the house is big enough. And you can understand that different backgrounds of upbringing between the grandparents is going to clash. And then how you handle the grandparents as a whole determines if you're going to clash because the grandparents are acting a fool over the grandkids. You got to be careful with that. Is that, and we're coming to live with you, comrade. You want to never ever decide how to handle your own family on your own, guys. You got to decide together on how to respond to the criticism. You decide together which events to attend. Sometimes you're both going to go together to one family. Sometimes you're both going to go to the other family. Sometimes y'all are going to go separately to individual families and mix it up. Mix it up. Sometimes you will go to his family's event and he will go to your family's event because they're happening at the same time. And y'all did not want to not represent your core family. So instead of him only going to his family and you only going to your family, switch that bad boy up. Show them that y'all represent each other on a regular basis. Because I'm sure we can fit 7 kids in one room. Yo, we fit 14 of them in the back of a Winnebago's. Well, I mean, we could fit 7 kids in one bedroom, 4 adults in another room. You got the grandparents in the attic and the kids in the basement. We got mom and dad in the house, and we still got a guest bedroom. That's right. And you got to switch it up. You got to switch it up because if you switch it up, you will be representing your core family, and that shows them, okay, well, my son couldn't come, but his wife was here. Where was my son? My son was with her family. That is a tough cookie to swallow as a family, but it shows camaraderie. He didn't flake out. He had to go and represent his relationship with her family. So she came here and they went over there. Don't forget to the detached garbage. Oh no, you put the detached garbage in the garage because they are still invited to the house too. Whoever's the disliked ones out of the group, they're probably going to get the worst living arrangements, but they're still coming. Now, this is going to include planning for tough moments. Before family dinner, you might agree. If your dad brings up our finances, I'll be the one to say, we appreciate your concern, but that's a private matter. Then we'll change the subject. If he pushes, we'll politely get up and leave. This turns you from victims to the situation into the victims of the situation into the proactive team with a game plan. So you're not really letting yourself be in a position where if you're at a family function, especially at a family function, to prove that the man is not valuable, the father might offer money to the family to support the family. If he was doing that respectfully, he would pull the husband aside, bring him into to like, let's go into the man cave and have a man talk and grab a few beers and sit in the man cave and just have a chat. And in that man cave, while nobody else is there, dad will slide the husband money. Don't tell anybody. That's when he's trying to help you out of respect. And the husband should be able to take that, thank you, put it in his pocket and walk away. And these days, that could be a wire transfer. He don't even have to hand you an envelope full of cash. But if you don't want to know where the money came from, he should be able to hand you a small envelope full of cash. You should be able to put that in your pocket, put it in your blazer. Fellas, when you go to the family's house, I just want to tiptoe on this real quick, fellas. When you go to the family's house, go there dress casual. And the reason why you go there dress casual is because even if you dress like Elon Musk with like a all black polo sweater, not a sweater, but a turtleneck, satin, you can do it satin. That way it's breathable. Like a satin turtleneck, you could probably have your little gold chain or whatever hanging off of it, accent it a little bit, and then carry yourself like a blazer or something like that, and then wear you some slacks. I'm not telling you to go out there and be nerdy. You could do it like MC Hammer did it. You could do it like Blade did it. You could do it like Denzel used to do it back in the day. But if you did that, guess what you've got? Now you've got a deep pocket for the envelope of cash that dad gave that nobody else will see. He gives you the envelope, you slide it into that top breast pocket, button it up. Nobody knows that dad gave you money. And if he's really trying to help, he's going to make sure that it's a discreet transaction. If he's giving you money advice at the dinner table, he's cutting you down. If he is using you as an example of success to someone else at the dinner table, he's cutting that person down. So even in a scenario where you're sitting at the dinner table and your partner is successful and your sibling's partner is not successful, you don't allow your parents to use your family as an example to disparage somebody else in the family. That's not going to work out. It's like, look, let's change the subject, or we will walk out because we don't want to be a part of this. And that maintains your ability to not only not be resented by the family members that are being cut down, but also not be divided. That's just extra information that I want you guys to think about. And he says, please don't wear pajamas to a family gathering. I'm gonna have to add to what he said and say, please don't wear pajamas anymore to family gatherings because here in 2025, y'all be showing up in y'all damn drawers. Y'all be having halter tops and y'all be having shorts so short that the pockets hang low, and y'all be having booty cheeks hanging out the back and all this. Y'all be having y'all pants sagging off y'all behinds, and y'all got the I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this generation where we forgot that if you're not wearing your church clothes or your court clothes to the family gathering, you are supposed to look like you respect yourself, not that you expect yourself to be respected by others. There's a big observational difference there, you know. And people, oh, well, I would like to express myself. Yes, you do, but there's situational times where you are supposed to express yourself to be professional and appropriate and respectable to the expectations of somebody else. Because you don't go to your job with your pants hanging out, but tuck it in. That's right. Pull them pants up, and if they don't fit, get you a bigger pair of pants because these slim fit skinny jeans is not where it's at. You are not supposed to be at your girl's dad's house with a crotch print for mom to be staring at. That is not what you're supposed to be trying to do. Get you some pants that's semi baggy that doesn't really give off any into because you wouldn't want your girlfriend to be wearing a really short skirt where dad can look up her skirt. You wouldn't want that either. So you've got to show yourself. You're respecting yourself. You're respecting your relationship. You're showing respect for the family, and you're preventing any negative or inappropriate engagements from occurring by carrying himself in this manner. You guys got to remember that he said put the hooters back in. The extra cleavage unnecessary. Mom's got her top out. Put a one of those handkerchiefs over it. Cover the cleavage. Cover the cleavage. You should not be showing all that. You don't need to. This is family. You're not supposed to be showing extra skin for family because what desire are you trying to pull off of a family member by looking quote unquote sexy? Now you got to understand that there's a time and a place for everything, right? But if you guys have a plan, you go into it with a plan. You can remove yourselves from situations where you're uncomfortable. You can prevent your family members from talking about things that are embarrassing or inappropriate. And if you've got those family members that for some reason like to do extensive research on your partner and then start talking about some of the worst things about your partner like a CSI movie, you know how when the cop goes and meets the new person, and when he wants to get information out of that person, I guess they believe that you can recite to them their past in order for the worst parts of their past. If they're trying to play on your fears, they're going to go off of the worst parts of your past. If they're trying to play off your ego, they're going to go over the best parts of your past. And then they're going to use whichever direction they go to then manipulate you into cooperating with you. If you know my past and you know that I don't talk about my past, and if you're talking to me about my past, you just ended the conversation. So there's no conversation here, there's no negotiation here. But if they're reciting your accomplishments or your failures from years ago, where how would you know that is the next question that will come out of somebody's mouth immediately in that engagement. All right, honey, let's go home. I'm not feeling well. Let's go home. Just walk out of the room and leave it the way it is because they should not be trying to use the fact that they've learned about your past to say that they know who you are today. They don't know you. They have an idea. They have an understanding of where you were, but who you've been since the last time you were on paper, they don't know you. And it's their idea to get to know you. And if they're not trying to get to know you, then this isn't going to work today. We'll try to get another day. Hey, mom and dad, this is Daisy from the trailer park. Now, if you going down that path, hold on. The whole family better be in the trailer park now. She from the other side of the park. We came down 8 Mile. Hold on. Make sure y'all remember to like and subscribe as we get through this today. Now, this is also where understanding your attachment styles is going to come in now. Research from Birmingham Young University. So, Birmingham Young University found that when a couple feels secure with each other, it acts as a powerful shield against social disapproval. So, if one of you has an anxious attachment style, you might need extra reassurance that is going to help you with this conflict so that you guys won't tear apart. And this is going to be a thing. If your partner has an avoidance style, they might be tempted to pull away and leave you to deal with this conflict alone. Recognizing these patterns is key. You have to work together. So, one offering reassurance and the other making a conscious effort to lean in and stay present, even when it's uncomfortable. So you might be in a situation where you're dating a conflict avoidant person and somebody at the table says something conflictual. Well, your partner might make an excuse to get up and go into the kitchen. You go with them. She says, "Well, I'm gonna go get something to drink." Yeah, let me come with you. That's what being a team is all about. You might have a situation where you can't get up from the table. They're talking to you about something. One person is uncomfortable. The other person might be able to hold their hand under the table or grab their leg and kind of give them that, it's going to be okay, understanding so that they're not folding under the pressure. One of the biggest changes you can make is knowing how to communicate, especially if you learn how to communicate without using words. Most people in this situation spend all their time and energy defending their partner when you don't need to. I told you guys on this show quite a few times before. If you did this on purpose, why are you defending it? If this is what you wanted out of life, why are you defending it? If it was a mistake and you recognize the mistake, why are you defending the fact that you recognize that you made a mistake? So, at what point in your situation are you required to explain whatever's going on with your partner? I'm well aware of my partner's dark past. My partner's well aware of my dark past. The issues that may come about from not knowing certain intricate scenarios could lead to catastrophic failure. And that's something that they don't understand. So you guys got to work through that. Now, their family says something critical and they leap in with a counter argument. He's not lazy, he's just dedicated to his career. She's not uh standoffish, she's just shy. While this comes from a loving place, it's actually a trap. When you defend your relationship, you're unintentionally agreeing that your family gets to be the judge and jury. It keeps you stuck in an endless cycle of trying to justify your choices to people who have already made up their minds. You will never win this debate because it's usually not about logic. It's about feelings, biases, or control. The stronger move is to shift from defending to declaring. A declaration isn't an argument, it's a statement of fact. It's about calmly stating your reality and your decisions without asking for anyone's permission or approval. It's how you set boundaries, your non negotiable expectations for behavior. Because when you think of Non-negotiable expectations for behavior. Instead of boundaries being invisible walls, non-negotiable expectations for behavior is not walls to be used to keep people out, but as a user's manual for how you expect to be treated. And I've told you this plenty of times before. So, what does this actually sound like? It means having a few simple, firm, and repeatable scripts ready to go. If you need it, you got it. If you don't need it, you don't need to use it. You might go there with a deck full of comebacks and not have to open the box. But if they creak open Pandora's box, you just got it. Play by play, play by play. If you don't do it, your partner does it. You're high fiving each other for all of the zingers you're coming back with. You've gotta approach this differently. The trick is to use I statements, which are about your feelings and decisions, and avoid you statements, which sounds like an attack. So let's walk through a few examples. Say scenario one, the backhanded compliment. Your mom says it's nice that Sarah is so relaxed about her career. I just worry about your I just worry about you financially. So this would be a situation where your partner, Sarah, isn't driven in her career and you guys might be suffering with money. That's what I take from that. Now, the defensive response is Sarah's not relaxed. She's building her own business. You just don't get it. We're fine. This just starts an argument. You don't want that. The declarative response is I hear your concern. For me, I'm very happy and confident in our plan, and we've got it handled. Now, tell me about your trip to the coast, changing the subject. As soon as you recognize that you heard what they said, you have no concerns, and you are confident about your ability to move forward because y'all got this. Now let's change the subject and talk about something else. He said, "Mother, get out." I'm not gonna lie. If I don't see myself in the position where I would have to discipline my parents for saying something that I would expect them not to say. But I also know that I can expect myself to be in a position where the other person's family is going to be the exact opposite of mine. So no matter how liberal mine might be, odds are I might walk across a family that is about as strict as my expectations, just countering my decision judge making. Conflict of interest. Got to know how to navigate it. She might be the kind of person say, "Mother, get out." And I might be the person that's not gonna judge whatever she had to kick mom out, and I'm sitting over here like, damn. You got to see the difference. You don't argue. You acknowledge their feelings, state your reality, declare the issue closed, and then pivot. You're not asking them to agree with you. You're not asking for their blessing. You're not asking for their support. You're informing them. It is what it is. The unsolicited advice, especially in a group setting, this is always a very, very tough problem. Your dad says that you two need to buy a house before you even think about getting married. Don't be fools. The defensive response is lots of people rent, which is true, but the rent always goes up and it's unaffordable. The market is awful right now, which is also true, but it's getting better as time goes on. And you might also reinforce that with we know what we're doing. This just invites a lecture of how to be responsible. The declarative response should have been thanks for sharing your thoughts, Dad. We have our own timeline that we're both really happy with. And if he keeps pushing, you add the non negotiable expectations for behavior, where we've already made our decision on this and it's not up for discussion. I'd love to hear about something else. You're still standing on principle. Now, A dad that's going to be more supportive might call you over and say, "Hey, look, I understand that you two need a house before you guys start talking about getting married. Houses are expensive and so are weddings. I'll contribute to the house so that y'all can focus on the marriage." And she might disagree with that. We're good. We fine. We don't need your charities, this, that, and the third. You do it anyway. You hear? If you want it, it's yours. If you don't want it, rent it out. It's an extra income. Either way, your my concern with your future situation has been rectified. It is what it is. Now, she should go and talk to her partner about that because if dad gives the house and he might feel emasculated about that. So, again, it's a situation where she might say, well, let me go and talk it over with my partner. And even still, it'll be the same conversation. If the partner comes up and you guys have the opportunity, you let him know. I talked to my child about it. I'm giving you guys the house. You can live in it. You can rent it out. You can sell it, whatever you want to do. But this will resolve my concern with your relationship towards your marriage. Either way, if the father was being supportive, you're not bashing the family member or devaluing the partner in a relationship. You're making a declarative position where if they accept it, it's there for them. And if they don't, it'll turn a profit some kind of way. One of the things you also have to pay attention to is the attempt to divide you guys. A family member pulls you aside and says that your partner is nice, but are they really up to our family standards? When you're dealing with middle and upper class families, there's sometimes that scenario. They're going to imply that you deserve better. This is going to be a loyalty test. And before we get into that declarative response, Michael says, "Why have a wedding? It's a waste of money." Thank you, thank you. You could have went down to the justice of the peace and paid the cost of court and just been hitched and saved you a shit ton of money. The ideology is that they're doing this big fancy event so that they can impress the society and feel good about themselves from social validation. But really and truly, the wedding isn't for you or for her. The wedding is for all the people that she or y'all want to impress because you're getting hitched. Because all that money, $150,000, the engagement ring and shit. I already told y'all put it into a stock option. It's drawing you back 20% interest. That $150,000 wedding would be giving you $30,000 a year worth of profit if you instead of doing the expensive wedding, you did the investment option. And what's better is that if you have $20,000 of money that you can spend, waste, that's not going on bills. The lifestyle that you would live at $20,000 a year worth of wasted money versus the debt that you would occur from a $150,000 wedding, your marriage would be more fantastic if you went to the justice of the peace and got married for little to nothing, less than 150 bucks, and then took the profits off of that and went on two or three $5,000 vacations a year, or one $20,000 vacation a year, or two $10,000 vacations a year, where y'all are living a good life because the vacation money is guaranteed because y'all's paychecks are y'all's paychecks. Michael said the average wedding cost $36,000. Whoa. Okay. He's thinking about the cheapest weddings that we can get through. You look at inflation, he's more than likely correct. But when you're looking at inflation, the average wedding in America is pretty freaking expensive. and it's unnecessary. And we can double check this because I thought it was way higher than that. Yeah, uh, actually, nationwide in 2025, it is approximately $36,000, which is up from $33,000, noting that the median is lower at about $10,000, showing that luxury weddings are driving the average higher, where the average guest count in most weddings in the United States is about 116 to 120 guests, and guest size vary regionally. Where Midwest weddings, which is over there by California, Arizona, Arkansas, stuff like that, is 141 guests, while destination weddings are average of 70 to 77 guests, and the price range by state costs higher in places like New Jersey, which is 54 to 57,000, which is what I was thinking about. New York, which is 47 to 48,000, Rhode Island 49,100, California 39,770, and more affordable states including Alaska, which is 12,500, and Nebraska, which is 1,700. Okay, I was expecting closer to 50 grand, 150 grand, still live like a poor person. But again, when you think about the wedding, when you think about the wedding, um, the average proposal, because I come from the perspective of like guys are paying for this shit. Yeah, engagement rings are naturally averaging between 6,500 and 6,800, and most couples are spending between 5,000 and 7,500 on the engagement ring itself. The events, if they're hiring professional planners, is like 1,500 to $6,000. Some of the simple do it yourselves is like 200 to 600, and then the ring setting events is like 3,000 to $5,000 on the proposal event itself, and then the total proposal cost could include the ring and all festivities somewhere between $7,000 and $12,000. So um, that original under $40,000, you said $36,000 on average, plus almost another $12,000. You're spending almost $50,000 average, but you could be upward of almost 100 grand, depending on who you are. And these are averages because you've got those people that are doing like really expensive ones and some people that are doing really cheap ones. And the fact is that all that money, that's a lot. That's a lot that could have been invested somewhere else. You gotta live smart. You don't just live broke, live smart. Now back to that declarative response. Because if you have a parent that pulls you aside and says, excuse me, that your partner is really nice, but asks if your partner is able to keep up with your family standards and emphasizes that you deserve more. Your declarative response should be something to the magnitude of my partner is the best for me and they are my standard. So when you criticize them, you're criticizing my choice. So please don't do that again. You might have a family member that might imply that you've never made good choices. And your rebuttal to that is that if you don't have respect for my partner, you don't have respect for me. And if you don't have respect for me, then I don't belong here. And then you remove your partner from the event and then y'all leave until they call and apologize for their negative behavior because you belong where you're respected. So you got to hold that one. That's that zinger that I told you about. But this firm, direct, um, and very assertive position leaves no wiggle room. It ties your partner directly to you. Consistency is everything here. Every time they test the levels of your relationship, you have to calmly hold your ground. It will feel uncomfortable at first. You might even be called disrespectful, but you're simply teaching them how to treat you now that you're an adult in a committed partnership. You're shifting the goal from winning the approval to commanding their respect. Now, this is going to be one of the other things that you're going to do. And it might feel like it goes against everything that we've just said about being firm, united as a team, but it is crucial. And this is going to make the puzzle all come together because while you don't have to accept your family's disapproval, taking the time to calmly understand where it's coming from can be incredibly valuable. This isn't about getting their permission, it's about gathering intelligence. So when they tell you certain things, you'll be able to address the real issue instead of just fighting about the surface level stuff. Now, let's be clear, not all parental concerns come from a bad place. Sometimes, even if they say it clumsily, it comes from a genuine fear that you're making a mistake. And it's also possible their concerns are rooted in biases about cultural, religion, or social classes. Just like we had the one family that was on here where the mom wanted the child to be like a born again, saved person, and the father wanted to let the child do her own thing, and the parents separated as a result. You have to understand where they're coming from and why they're making the decisions that they make. Your job is to become an investigator and figure out their real motives. Michael says you'll never be an adult in your parents' minds. You will survive. Well, it's okay. I agree. You're in the. I don't understand why parents keep their children in their minds as the child that was like 6 or 7 years old, where she was old enough to speak, but not old enough to rebel. But as an adult, they still have to respect your decisions. Michael says that normally your parents are right, but love is blind. And this is going to be another issue because even though your parents have the best intentions for you, if they're telling you that the person that you have is not beneficial for your success, you don't want to hear that message because you chose this person. You might love this person. The situation might be infatuatious for you, but the problem that you're having is that you're not weighing everything and you might be missing something in order to accept this as a perfect scenario. You might be ignoring red flags in order to put your finger on the fact that this might be ideally the perfect scenario for you if those red flags didn't exist. And you might have those family members that are letting you know that there are red flags that you need to consider. Regardless of whether or not you do anything about it, you need to know that there are some red flags here that you need to consider. Now, since this is the case, you have to first consider the source. Are your parents genuinely or generally responsible people who have healthy relationships and have always wanted you to be happy? Because if this is the case, their concerns might be worth hearing out. Or is there a history of control and drama where their own needs got tangled up in your life? If it's the latter, then their concern is probably more about losing their influence over you and less about what's in your best interest. But if they have always tried to do what was in the best interest of you, regardless of how it works out for them, then whatever information that they have to give you, you should at least take it under advisement. Think about that. The next step you're going to be dealing with here is you're going to be scheduling a specific calm conversation without your partner. Now, this is critical because having your partner there will just make your family defensive. You can frame it like this: Mom and Dad, I know that you have concerns, about my relationship with whatever my partner's name is. I'm not here to argue, but I really want to understand what you're seeing. Can you help me with that? And then just listen to them talk and just let them talk. Don't plan your rebuttal while they're speaking. Just try to understand. Ask clarifying questions. Like when you say they seem disrespectful, can you give me some specific examples? What is your single biggest fear for me in this relationship? What would need to change for you to feel better about this? And that change cannot be just abandoning the relationship altogether. It's already clear that that's an expectation. But why do you want the relationship to be abandoned? What could change in this relationship that does not require the relationship to be abandoned? As you listen, sort their concerns into two piles: legitimate worries and unfair bias. A legitimate worry might sound like, we've noticed that whenever we disagree, your partner encourages you to just shut up or shut us out. That's a specific behavioral observation. You don't have to agree with their conclusion, but this is something to think about. An unfair bias sounds like, their family is just so different, or you should be with someone who has the same level of education. This isn't about your partner's character, it's about prejudice. In these cases, your non negotiables expectations are key. You can say calmly, I understand that's your view, but I don't share it. And I fell in love with this person, not a resume. Their background is part of what I love about them, and it is not a valid reason for you to disapprove. So, hey, if you're with this person and then you come to find out that she used to be an OnlyFans girl, I mean, if you've already been there, does it really matter? You've already kissed her on the mouth. It doesn't matter how many things been in that mouth. You've already kissed her on the mouth. So, go brush your teeth and take you some penicillin and deal with it. Michael says social levels are not the same. Well, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. And truthfully, more often than not, it's going to happen where the man is in a different social level than the woman, and the mother is going to be the one making this kind of argument. It does happen, especially in matriarchal societies where the estate goes to the woman. The man is going to be devalued by the woman's father or the woman's mother about the man because the estate is in the possession of the woman. In those situations, because there is a social level dynamic, you have to be able to maintain your position that I'm not with this person for their finances, and reassure them that your partner is not here for your finances or whatever inheritance or legacy that you get. Those of us in first generation wealth, if we have any type of financial backing, they're not going to really care about that. They just don't want us to take their money from them. He said, I'm glad I'm not dating anymore. You don't have to deal with that anymore. At 70 years old, you're just waiting for the perfect girl to be the housekeeper for you and take care of you till you die with your money. That's it. That's it. And whatever allowance that you're giving her, she's going to be giving some of that to her family. So her family's going to love the fact that she's with you because, you know, in 20 years, she'll be 40, you'll be dead. Because not many of us live to 95. The goal of the mission is simple. First, it makes sure that you're not in love, that you're missing the real red flags. You don't want to be so in love that you're not seeing the problem. Second, it makes your family heard. People often get louder when they feel ignored, and that's what causes arguments, shouting competitions. Nobody's actually fixing a problem. They don't even recognize what the problem is. They're just yelling over each other so that they can either get the last word in or feel like they said something significant in the discussion or the argument or the breakdown of communication, however you want to identify it. But it's not going to do anything other than frustrate each other until they do not want to communicate with each other for a while, or in some situations, forever. By giving them one controlled space to say their piece, you have every right to later say, we've already talked about this. I listened to you, I listened to your concerns, and I've made my decision. We're not discussing it again. Once you have given them the opportunity to say everything that they got to say between you and your family, when your partner's there, they should not bring it up again. He's on his way out, guys. He said, wait, hold on, we're gonna get this up here on the screen. What's up, Marshall? It's good to see you again. Michael says, remember to like and subscribe. He's gonna go play some. You were supposed to be playing me in chess, Michael. One day you're gonna challenge me to a game. He says, remember to communicate with each other. And while we're getting into that weekend, Michael usually gives you guys a challenge. What challenge are you guys going to do to overcome? Because I kind of gave you one yesterday, which was deciding uh, what do you benefit from the changes that you've made this year, and what things that you stopped doing last year that you are still not doing this year that you are now improving from. What changes are you planning on making this year to make next year better, kind of thing. Basically analyzing the progress of your life between last year and the upcoming next year to determine if you have made even the smallest pivots from past dissatisfaction, which allows you to be able to recognize whatever levels of success that you are getting and then implementing as much positive success going forward that you can potentially have. Because one of the biggest drives in change is recognizing and observing the actual change that is being made. That's one of the biggest things. So I strongly encourage you guys yesterday, and we can make it a whole weekend thing, is to really think about the things that you were doing last year, the decisions that you were making last year, and then what things are you doing this year that you're not doing last year that has made life better, and what things that you started doing this year that you weren't doing last year that makes life better, and then follow that up with what do you plan to do next year that you're not doing this year that'll make life better. And one more thing, what do you need to stop doing this year that you're still doing, that if you stop that, life will get better. So six things that you're covering. Start doing some stuff, stop doing other stuff, recognize what you started and what you stopped, and then plan to start doing more better things and stop doing more catastrophic things. These are the things that you guys got to pay attention to. So that's a good thing to comb over. So that's a good list. That's Santa's list. You got your good list and your bad list. You're gonna check it twice and make sure the things that are naughty are no longer being done, and the things that are nice are being done. The objective is to find the things that are aiding you to get closer to whatever your outcome, your overall success story is supposed to be. That way you can continue heading in that direction, because your 20-year plan is a 20-year plan. Michael said, well said, off the play chess. Your 20-year plan is your 20-year plan. And that means every year, every few months, every decade, you're checking in with your plan to see how close you've gotten to that plan, what pivots you have to make as it relates to that plan, whatever whatever's slowing you down versus whatever's speeding you up on that plan, and what else can you do to get you to where you want to be in life. So navigating these conversations is incredibly tough. And it's easy to feel like you're all alone in a lot of these situations. And if any of this is hitting home for you guys, please take a second, just like Michael said, to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, share this with somebody that you know, because so far we've been building a community all about making healthier, more empowered relationships. And we're going to continue with this trend when we start talking about those red flags tomorrow. and we're going to be improving communication and setting those non-negotiable expectations for behavior. Also, I want you guys to let us know in the comment section, without giving away too many personal details, if you've ever felt caught in a situation like some of these. Knowing where not alone is a very powerful thing. So you'll be able to not only comb over some of the stories that you hear in the comment section, you might also hear some of the things that they did to navigate past it, which might give you some more insight onto the positive and negative ways to approach the resolution of some of these issues. So now we're going to step into one of our other strategies. Because when you're in the middle of this conflict, it's easy to get into crisis mode. You want it fixed now, and you want them to change their minds by the next holiday. But family dynamics that took decades to build rarely change overnight. One of the most powerful things you can do is shift your mindset from looking for a quick win to playing the long game. This takes patience, consistency, and managing your own expectations. Playing the long game means understanding that the only thing that will change their minds is your consistent behavior over time, which is what I was telling the young lady last week. They don't gotta like them. You don't gotta force them to like them. But if dad likes the same team that your husband likes or your boyfriend likes, bring them over to watch the game. Not to talk, to watch the game. If you're going to his family's house and his mom likes doing a certain activity that you like doing, y'all go over to his mom's house and do the things that his mom likes to do. Not for y'all to talk, for y'all to do that activity. Bonding in a situation, even reluctantly, builds bonds. And over time, your behavior is not going to change about the person that you're sticking with. Your partner's behavior is not going to change while they're enjoying the game or quality time with the father, which also means that in that same situation, if they're both big fans of the same team, if your partner is going to get season tickets for the game anyway, bringing dad to the season game tickets is even more of a bonding moment, which also gives sort of a like a peace treaty kind of thing, the olive branch, if you will. He doesn't have to go, but you're going to go anyway. So, I mean, let's go watch the game. And then it'll become a weekly ritual. And building weekly rituals with the extended family builds repetitive relationship bonds with the extended family. So going over once a month and doing things with the husband side of the family and going over once a month and do things with the wife side of the family does a traditional build that they know that you guys are going to come together. And if you don't come together, typically the one that isn't blood related to the family is going to show up on behalf of the one that can't show up, which shows a unanimous front. I know that you wanted your son to be here, but something came up, so I had to make sure that you knew that he gave you his best wishes. He's thinking about you. He loves you. Everything to that effect. Likewise, shoe on the other foot. I know you was expecting your daughter to come, but something came up, so I couldn't miss this. She wanted you guys to know how proud she is of your accomplishments, so I had to come out and make sure that I pass along the message. Because if there's a family gathering, you're part of the family because you guys are the extended family. They're your extended family. So if one of you represents the family, doesn't matter which one. If you behave biasly and say, well, I'm only going to go to my family's events and you're going to go to your family's events, you're not showing a unified front. And it leaves room for your partner to be devalued in their absence. But again, you have to know how to navigate this. Every time you and your partner show up as a united team, every time you calmly hold those non negotiable expectations for behavior, every time you treat each other with love and respect right in front of them, you are providing a small piece of new evidence over months and years that evidence can start to wear away at their disapproval. They start to see that their fears that your partner would ruin your life or that the relationship would fail just aren't coming true. This is the opposite of the so called Romeo and Juliet effect. The idea that parental opposition just makes a couple stronger is not the truth. While that can work for a while, long term disapproval is like acid. Your goal isn't to thrive on rebellion, but to patiently create a new, more tolerant normal. So, what does this look like on a day to day basis? Well, first, be relentless, consistent with your boundaries, your non negotiable expectations for behavior. If you said you won't discuss your partner's career, you have to hold that line every single time. If your partner's an OnlyFans girl and your homeboys got the membership, I said we're not talking about my partner's career. If you only enforce it sometimes, you're teaching them that your expectations are negotiable. Second, strategically managing your time with them because you don't have to go every single family event together, especially when things are tense. It is perfectly fine to decide as a team that you'll go to some things alone to give everyone a little breathing room and protect your partner from stress, in addition to your partner going sometimes alone to give you some breathing room from the stress of your own family. Y'all cannot go at all so that y'all can get a little bit of peace and stand together in the dynamic that your relationship is devalued by the family. You can also plan short, low pressure activities like meeting for coffee instead of a long, unstructured holiday dinner where tension has time to build. Then, this one is a big one. You have to accept the painful possibility that they may never fully come around. Their disapproval might be so tied up in their own issues that nothing you do will change it. And this means your goal cannot be to change their minds. Your goal has to be to live a happy life with my partner, regardless of my family's approval. This is where you take your power back. When you realize that you can't control their feelings, only your own actions, you are set free from their expectations. The pressure is off because you're no longer performing for them. You're just living yourself and living your own life. This is especially important around big life events like getting engaged, married, having kids, changing jobs. And when I say changing jobs, it's because if you're moving to another city or state or country because your partner is going there for a job thing, you are doing this because this is what will make you happy. It's not about making your family happy. It's tempting to think a wedding invitation or a grandchild will be the magic wand that fixes everything. Usually, catastrophic events bring people closer together. Somebody has to die for the family to stop being assholes. Somebody has to have cancer, or a bomb has to go off, or a plane has to crash, or a ship has to sink, or somebody has to break a bone, and then you got to come to their aid, and some kind of chaos has to happen a lot of the times. But sometimes it helps, and sometimes it can make things worse when you're just offering an invitation for chaos to occur, knowing that the disapproval would always be there. Because as that person sees the relationship becoming permanent, their behavior to it might become worse. So you have to be ready for either outcome. Stay a team either way, hold your non negotiable expectations, and protect the well being of your new primary family. The long game isn't won with one dramatic move, it's won a thousand small, consistent, and patient ones. You know, they say that you can lose the battle but then win the war, or you could lose the war and win this battle. There's a thing called tactical retreat. You're not running away, you're regrouping. If you stay in the battle the way you are now, you are bound to lose. But if you restructure yourself and come back a second time, you're more likely to find success on the forefront. These are the differences. All of this has been about managing the outside world. Now, the final strategy that I'm going to be giving you tonight is about protecting your inner world. The constant stress and criticism. You want to understand that this will take a huge toll on your mental health and on your relationship. If you don't actively fight back against that, the external pressure can cause internal damage, leading to the very breakup your family was afraid of, which will then have them give you the I told you so and the worse off reminder of every other time that that happened. Because if this isn't your first breakup, they're going to remind you of every other breakup. They're going to rub it in your partner's face that if your relationships normally don't last more than 6 months, or if your relationship normally doesn't last more than 3 years, then as you get closer to that deadline, they're going to put the pressure on you to remind you that, hey, the relationships don't last beyond this point, and you're reaching that point. So y'all are about to break up anyway. We don't have to do anything. We're just going to sit back and watch your relationship fall apart so that we can tell you, I told you so. There are people that are going to do this. Protecting your peace isn't a luxury, it's a core part of the strategy. So, the first thing that you have to do intentionally strengthen the bond with your partner. Research shows this is a huge protective factor. This means deliberately creating positive, fun, and loving experiences to balance out all the negative. So, after you've gone to the in laws and they've given you a bad way to go, you go out there and have you a good time with your partner and take the stress off. Schedule date nights after the engagement with the family. Take trips, and you can pre-plan this. So you're going to your in-laws house, and after the in-laws house, you're going on a trip. Ironically, that's going to wear the family down because they're going to ask, "What are you guys planning on doing?" "Oh, we're going to take a trip to wherever." It doesn't matter if it's down the street to another city or across the country or to another country altogether, or if you're just going to ride on a boat, or if you're going to go hang out at a spa or go travel up a mountain to a hot spring or whatever it is. But whatever your trip is, it's happening not too long after today, so that they can think to themselves, when's the last time we went on one? We giving them shit about their relationship. When's the last time we took our relationship on an adventure? Work on a project together. So, ladies, y'all got a man that's got an old car somewhere. Figure out how to fix that shit. Don't just drop it off at the mechanic. Get out there with some tools and try to see if you can torque some stuff. Celebrate the small things. Because if you create a couple bubble that is your sanctuary from the storm, in that bubble, there is only support, admiration, and affection. And that's one of the reasons why I've continued to tell you guys that all relationships need to have that affirmation, that affection, and confirmation, validation, and support. Because this is where you refuel and remind each other why you're fighting this battle in the first place. Now, the second thing that you have to manage is your own emotional state. It's totally normal to feel guilty, shame, or self doubt in these situations, especially when there's a large quantity of people that are belittling and dragging you through the mud. Find healthy ways to cope. Drinking yourself to sleep and taking a bunch of pills and smoking a bunch of weed, all not good ideas. You could do something different, like journaling, meditation, or regular exercise. You could play video games, but you don't want to be obsessive about it and spend 8 to 10 hours on a video game. You also have to practice self compassion. You have to talk to yourself the way you would talk to a friend in your shoes. It's not crazy to have a conversation with yourself. The people say that it's only crazy when you answer yourself back. But you are an adult and you are allowed to choose your own partner and you deserve to be happy. You have to give yourself that same kindness and tell yourself that on a regular basis, especially if you're in a relationship that's making you happy. But also, if you're in a relationship that's not making you happy, you need to understand why. Third thing you're going to do is build up your chosen family. Chosen family, not born into family. Your family of origin might be a source of stress, but you can build a support network of people who do see, celebrate, and support your relationship. These are the friends who've loved your partner, the siblings who are on your side, the mentors who respect your choices. Spend time with these people, probably more often than naysayers. Let them remind you that you're not crazy and that your relationship is something to be proud of. Their support is a vital counterbalance to the negativity. Finally, this is the often hardest part of everything we've talked about tonight. You must be willing to create some distance if necessary, if the situation becomes truly toxic. If the criticism is nonstop, if your non negotiable expectations are not being followed and they're constantly ignored, and if stress is damaging your mental health, you have the right to take a step back. This doesn't have to be a dramatic forever cutoff. It could be a temporary pause. It might sound like, Mom and Dad, I love you, but our conversations are just too painful right now. I'm going to take a break from these topics for a while. I'll call you next week to talk about other things. This is the ultimate way to protect your peace. It sends the clearest message that you will not sacrifice your well being or your relationship for their approval. You can go one step further that we will not be coming to the family gatherings for a while so that we can regroup or, however you want to word it. But noting that your presence will not be felt until you feel respected and appreciated, and your partner is respected and appreciated. They will understand that while you might have started coming every day and then stopped coming every day and started coming once a week, stop coming once a week and start coming once a month, stop coming once a month and only coming twice a year, then stop coming twice a year and start coming once a year, and now all of a sudden you're showing up once every 5 years. The more you don't change your behavior, the longer it's going to be before the next time I come around because I don't want to put up with that behavior. We might just talk on the phone instead of seeing each other in person. We might just video call every now and again. And the length of the video call depends on if you're going to redirect us back to that negative position. Navigating family disapproval is one of the toughest challenges a couple can face. It tests your love and your loyalty and your strength together. It can feel like you're being torn in two when really they're trying to see how strong you are. But it is also an opportunity because it is a fire that can forge your relationship into something incredibly resilient. But choosing to face this together is the way that you are building the strongest possible foundation for a life together. So let's remember some of the strategies that we've gone over. You want to unite as a fundamental team. Make your partnership your number one priority. Always be on the same side, especially in front of family and friends. Shift from defending to declaring. Stop justifying your choices and start calmly stating your reality and setting firm, non negotiable expectations. Seek to understand without caving. Listen to their concerns to gather information, not to ask for permission. Play the long game. Be patient and consistent. Your goal is your own peace, not their approval. Protect your peace and fortify your bond. Actively create joy in your relationship and lean on the people who support you. In the end, you cannot control how your family will react. You can only control your own choices. You can choose to build a relationship based on respect and support. You can choose to be the calm, confident adult who is in charge of their own life. And you can choose to prioritize the new family and that new family that you are building with your partner and the person that you love will end up being the forefront of all of your attention. This isn't about choosing your partner over your family. It's about choosing to honor your own life, your own happiness, and your own future. Now, this is a very tough topic. And I hope that all of these strategies that I gave you guys today is going to give you guys a clear path forward. Because if you haven't already, you should take time to go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel, because we're going to have a lot more content about this that is going to be helping you guys build strong, healthy relationships. But you have to remember, I want to hear from you guys. You guys have to make sure that you throw into the comments section uh, anything that concerns you, because this is a place of support. You want to share one piece of advice that has helped you, or just a word of encouragement for others who are going through it right now. Your story is valuable and your support matters. Your opinion matters. Your concerns matter. Remember, you have the right and the strength to build the happy life that you deserve. And every day of the week here on This and That, when we're talking about this, that, and everything in between, we will be working on every area of your life that you have had concerns with, so that we can build your life to a level that you are satisfied with. Now, I want to start off by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And fellas, uh, this is the 73% male driven podcast from the male's perspective. I give you guys this information to help you guys become higher value men. The goal is not only to build your wealth and your finances and your resources to be identified as a successful man of value. It is also to help you work on your emotional, psychological, your relationships, your interactions, and all of the mindsets related to being a man of value, by fixing the core problems, the issues that take you off of your A game. But ladies, this information is not exclusive to men, because everything that we do is uniform. You can take this exact same information and apply it to your life and restructure your life into ways that you would be proud of your life as well. There is no right way to fix the problem, but the one wrong way to approach a problem is to completely ignore the problem. Sometimes let's wait and see can work, but a lot of times we have to do something about it. And that's not something that we have been recognizing as of late. We have to do something about it. So, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate my That's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.